thing for... Oh, okay, never mind. They're just going to go straight for the Kaiser.
Something special, something new,
I thought they would do
it's
something
Kaiser.
different. Nope, they're going to stick with standard. So far, SKT's comp, very traditional, very standard, and now G2 can freely pick up the Rakan, and they can start banning away the obnoxious supports. Leona, Nautilus, Alistair, things that pair up well against Kaiser can now be taken away.
You did just mention 3 supports, though.
Yes.
And there are only 2 bans that SKT have left. And likewise, since SKT has locked in Gragas, and there is already an Elise ban on the side of G2, I expect SKT to now attack Jankos' champion pool.
And Jankos does pay the price for securing the Xayah Rakan,
Yes.
the Rise. We now have to see how deep his champion pool goes. If they ban away the Lee Sin, that'll be all 3 of the high-priority junglers taken off the list. But for now, it is the Ornn, the other counter pick that we've seen into the Renekton. We saw Wonder play it up against Griffin. It worked wonderfully for him in the early game.
Watch G2 pull out a Singed or something. That's something ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's the added wrinkle to this whole draft phase is none of us are expecting there to be no new picks at this event. There are the super top tier where it's this saturated vat of these champions we're seeing in this pick and ban phase with maybe Ornn and Tristana kind of on the fringe edge. What's the new pick going to be is what we haven't seen yet. And they're going to need something into this Renekton.
I am a big fan of this Tristana ban against Faker. It was something that he often brings out against the Rise. He's been able to have some great performances in the matchup, and G2 showcasing that respect. Oh, they're actually valuing the Rek'Sai over something like the Lee Sin, something that they have often gone for, but clearly showcasing a preference for the slightly stronger dueler and early game jungle.
And I think what we've seen so far out of this draft phase is a higher preference towards matchups rather than just trying to stockpile as many power picks as possible.
I like the hover here from SKT. I'm expecting the Leona to come through, and now they're just looking for their mid laner. With Syndra taken off the board, and with Tristana taken off, they're going to have to go for something different in the mid lane, and Twisted Fate is something that Faker has played so far this tournament.
And it's also something that G2 have struggled against repeatedly domestically, but Cassio would be new. Eventually considered the counter pick to Rise in previous metas, not something that we've seen as much. But the Nico, you said you wanted something new. We were supposed to see something, and that might be it. But where is the Nico going to go?
The Nico I expect to be mid lane. This was actually one of Faker's most played champions throughout the year, or rather throughout the summer split. And it's something that he defaulted to when he just needed something safe and strong in the mid lane. A lot of team fight power, can be pretty effective in the lane. I'm excited to see him back on the pit.
G2 taking their time on this final pick. It looks like it will be the Kled now coming out, looking to match the Renekton wherever it does end up. And it looks like topside will be the Kled versus Renekton matchup, Khan versus Wonder.
I'm excited. we did all this prep and we're like, what's it going to be? We didn't come up with this draft.
Well, this is what people don't know is we got through the first half of the draft easy. The second came to lane and counter picks for solo lanes. We're like, we don't know. We have no idea.
We just don't, and it's about what you're willing to opt into. So in this case, SKT did a very Renekton-focused draft. They used a late first phase ban on Quinn. They first picked Renekton, and what does it cost? It costs Rise and basically Xayah Rakan with the way G2 managed to pull this out. So G2, in a sense, draft around their bottom side with a little bit of mid, and SKT draft around Khan.
I think the biggest thing to track in this first game for all the viewers at home, the mid laners, they do not like to stay in their lane. They showcased in the quarterfinals that they love to roam, especially early. So keep your eyes on them. Let's see which lanes they can impact, if they can impact them at all.
Here we go. SK Telecom T1 versus G2 Esports. Who will face FPX in the 2019 World Finals? We're going to find out today. Madrid and the Policia Vista Alegre is ready. Faker and Caps facing each other down in the mid lane, the first seed of the LCK versus the first seed of the LEC. In years past, SKT would have been favored through and through, but this year, even footing, everything on the line for both these players.
And you can see, we just mentioned with the draft phase, to pay attention to these mid laners, not because of the mid lane, but because of where they go elsewhere. Look at that lane percentage stat. That's the percentage of time between 3 and 15 minutes that these players actually stay in mid lane. And Caps did that less than any other player in the quarterfinals. Faker, in the group stage, did it less than any other mid laner in the group stage. So push and roam will be the name of the game, and where do they go from there?
And the question for me is, where do these teams look to prioritize early? Because for SKT, typically you'd want to try and play around a Renekton lane. You'd want to stack up a wave, look to set up a dive, but Clay is very difficult to dive. He's a very difficult champion to actually try and snowball onto. So they could pivot their attention down towards the bot side of the map. With a Leona, you have a lot of early game setup, Gragas provides a lot of damage, and you know that Perkz and Mickey are going to be aggressive in this 2 versus 2.
And the early game has been so important, not only for these teams, but also in this matchup. If we look back to their MSI best of 5, the team that won the early game won all 5 games. So what types of early trading are we going to see as SKT look to go very aggressive early?
Perkz and Mickey definitely not getting the good end of that trade. Heal burned very early on. Important to note, neither bot lane has opted to take the TP. Clearly, both are ready for a potential all-in here on the bottom side.
And this is what we were just talking about, how Perkz and Mickey love to try and trade during the laning phase. They try to build their own advantages by being aggressive. And this is a great opportunity for SKT to try and punish this. With one Summoner Spell already down, you can see that Klid is doing a full bot side clear. Very standard for a Gragas. I'm wondering if you'll choose to base or if you'll look for a bot lane gank.
And what we're looking at right now from SKT is a pushing top lane and a pushing bot lane. And traditionally, you actually wouldn't say this is what you should be doing, because the strong side of the map, the side with your jungler, should be the ones that are allowed to push. And the weak side would actually have to play a little bit passively. That's not actually how SKT have been playing. There have been instances where they're going for a dive top and their bottom line is still aggressive. It is a potential window to punish, but if left unpunished, can also be a way for SKT to gain an edge in the early game.
For now, no one pushing for a greater edge. You can see Greg is pulling back as his very standard 3 quick camps, followed by the Predator boots to make sure that Klid can have maximum impact on the map. Yanko's now moving into lane, waiting in the darkness, but will be revealed by the ward. Luckily, the sweeper will clear out a little bit of that vision, may be able to get a second ward here in the duration. Will just opt to back off. Clearly, G2 putting some resources on the bottom side. It's important to remember, they gave up this Renekton for the Xayah Rakan. What will it do for them in the early game?
They're also answering it with the Kled, something that they clearly did not need to prioritize because they recognized the Ornn would likely be banned. We now see Klid looking for a gank mid.
Caps snare, this is going to be bad. Klid now moving in, pre-wave there to body block. Caps will be forced to retreat, but the phase rush just allows him to zoom out to safety.
Yeah, a good ward in the river gives him early knowledge of the gank. The phase rush helps him after that, and Klid didn't want to follow into the river because they had previously seen Gankos down there. So pretty much just a well-played gank by both teams.
And some fancy footwork there on the bottom side for Mickey and Perkz, using that unique Lover's Recall to get themselves safely out of lane on the back of that push. And you can see a very early base for Perkz, happy with the Essence Reaver build patch just to grab double longsword, just to make sure that he can push as much into this lane as is possible.
A couple of other things to note as well is early teleports are now being used by both G2 solo lanes, which means that SKT do have this TP advantage. Something that they did a lot of during the group stages was try and force early TP plays towards the bot side of the map, where in windows where the opposition did not have them available. That was how they were able to build a lot of their early game advantages, just because they knew they had this Summoner Spell advantage.
Mickey roam.
Locked up though. Faker now has to run for the hills, but he's burning down the Ignite. It might not be enough. Mickey, the 1-for-1. Faker gets it back.
I mean, those are the types of plays that Mickey has made in the past to be able to impact the mid lane. The fact that it did give a kill back and Faker has his teleport up actually means it doesn't give him a big edge, but that's the type of look G2 wants to make.
Here comes effort into the mid lane as well. They're looking to run the play back on the opposite side. The flash in, Caps now locked up the chain CC. It's flawless, and Caps deleted by the Leona.
Fantastic response from SKT. They're able to get the kill onto Caps, and now they actually have the kill lead. Now Khan has found Jankos.
Might just have to dash in though. Should have the second proc there. We'll dash out to safety. Klid waiting over the wall.
Oh, they might go back in.
They're going back in. Jankos, the flash body slam. He's trying to run the tunnel. We'll take him out to safety. Back under the tower, but within inches of death there.
Yeah, flash for flash, but SKT is definitely going to try and keep the pressure up, just delaying Jankos' recall as much as possible. You can't really dive the Kled this early unless you're willing to send another, so for now, it looks like you have the all clear to recall.
Kled, though, he's not done yet. He wants to try and set up a play onto the top lane.
Just backing.
Can't just hit level 6.
And Faker did go into Fog, so Wonder has to respect the roam.
No TP, though. Con just going to walk up, just going to fight for that plate. Wonder's not going to burn any cooldowns without seeing the Gragas. Has to be patient, but will now be able to clear this wave out.
So we're going to be diving back into this play. Mickey, level 3 roam. Remember that the bot lane did a very early base, but I love the fact that Effort is already roaming mid. This means that as Mickey and Caps are setting up the play, Mickey unfortunately gets just a little too close to the tower. He gets rooted up, but now Caps, he can't push the wave out. And while Effort has to commit a flash, he's able to find a return kill.
And the biggest thing when using your flash aggressively for a kill mid is you have to be able to reset the wave. Unable to do that, and the correct punish by SKT.
Now the all-in on the bottom side, though. Effort has gone face first into danger, but Perks is so low. One more proc. Not going to find a play yet. He has to be careful. Caps now moving in. The knockup is there. Mickey now trying to find a retreat, but Klid coming into the backside. Caps trying to zoom his way through the fight. The phase rush isn't going to be enough. Caps now caught up with Effort, but the CC is there, and Caps goes down. A beautiful punish from SKT.
And that's a disaster for G2, because not only is their bottom lane down healing having to back, that was an unmatched roam in which Caps died. So we talked about what are these mid laners going to be able to do in the roaming game. When that happens, you actually cede control of the mid lane, and Faker will probably have freedom to roam for the foreseeable future.
Beautiful punish from SKT, and we talked so much about how important it is for both these teams to look for these early roams, and the fact that SKT was able to stop Caps from finding any advantages with his initial roam is, as you were saying, Jack, very detrimental to the side of G2. SKT are looking very good in this early stage. And
you can see that Klid pretty early catches Caps in the jungle, so SKT should know that Caps at least has the opportunity to go down here, and this play is kind of known for a while, so they get so much out of Mickey and Perks that the turn is difficult for the rest of G2 to follow up on, and we're just going to see a Hex Flash into a play.
Repeat! Oh, Void's here going to force the ult out there for Perks. That's going to make him so vulnerable in the lane phase to come, and SKT's bottom lane, not the point of the map where we expected them to be strongest, but really showing up so far in game one. Teddy, though, no mana. He is going to be in trouble. Flash to flash out to safety. Effort might just be sacrificed, but Klid is coming in on the backside. It's not Klid, though. That's a fake Klid. That's a Faker waiting.
If he lands a Q, he might RN.
Can go for it. Klid waiting there, though. Would be able to get the kill, but then would immediately get taken down as fake Klid waiting in the river.
And I love how SKT are responding to a lot of this early aggression coming out from G2. They knew that this game was going to be a brawl. They knew that they had to be able to match the high pace that G2 like to set, because that is what allowed G2 to get advantages against SKT at MSI. This is the evolution that SKT has made, and Klid has been tracking Jankos incredibly well. He's been in the right place at the right time to punish, and Teddy and Effort are playing this lane extremely well as well. They're punishing the over-aggression from Perks and Mickey that is not getting the support from Caps, because every time he tries to roam, it gets interrupted.
And I think we should keep looking at Effort. He is the least experienced player on this roster overall. He has had a few bad games at Worlds, but I felt like he had actually a pretty strong quarterfinal. So how will he respond to G2's roams? Because if someone's going to get picked off in these games, it would likely be the Leona, and so far Effort has played very well.
Punishing Mickey left and right with some beautiful Zenith blades, as well as the gank into the mid lane. Of course, the cask thrown in from Klid there in an attempt to steal the blue buff. Still will be secured by the side of G2. So for at least a minute, they will have a reprieve from the all-in threat of the Gragas. Jankos finally hitting level 6, but just has not been able to match so far. It's kind of been chasing Klid around the map.
I think that's a very large cooldown burn by Klid just to attempt a blue steal. Probably not worth it, all things considered, because now he can't even really look to contest River, where Jankos will have level 6 and Hail of Blades. It means his bottom lane also can't get forward control, where it's really until that ultimate cooldown is back up, the rest of SKT is in a bit of a pressure deficit, and that might allow G2 to be able to catch up in this game.
Now, one of the things I will also be tracking is whether one of these two teams looks for an early swap. Because what you can do, especially given that G2's bot lane has been struggling in the laning phase, is try for an early swap towards topside, generate a numbers advantage, and then look to make a play for the Herald, while SKT will trade it for a Drake. And given that it's a Cloud, that would be a pretty advantageous trade for G2, and they could potentially get out of this 2v2 that they have been struggling in.
Caps walking into Fog of War, and we'll start up the Cloud Drake. Yanko's on the way down. Not the biggest objective, but will be clutch for the movement between lanes here in the early to mid game.
It'll be incontestable. Clid was spotted by expiring G2 ward on his blue buff, so this was a very safe move from G2, and I think a lot of this actually does stem back from Clid wasting his ult trying to steal a blue buff. It left a vacuum of pressure that G2 was able to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, Jat. But what I love now with SKT is because they were on the top side, they're immediately responding with the Herald themselves, which means this swap, if it comes out from G2, is not going to be as beneficial. And now we'll actually start to see these supports open up on the map. Look at Mickey on the minimap and look at Effa. Both of them looking for opportunities, grouping up around mid, seeing if they can help gain priority to allow their mid laners to roam around.
Both of them level 6. Very easy, though, for SKT to find a setup onto a pick if anyone missteps, though. They have the hose for Faker in the mid lane. Wonder, though, all in on the top side, but this matchup has just been very back and forth. Neither one able to find a greater edge quite yet.
And what I have liked about the Kled pick is how hard it's made it for Khan to be able to dive. Notice that Wonder's actually very even in farm. He hasn't tried to play super aggressively. He hasn't relied on Jankos to play around his lane. He's just like, you can't kill me, I can't kill you. And I think that this... why have I forgotten its name? The Kled should outscale the Renekton later on and will be a strong initiator for later fights, and I imagine G2 will look to set it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that ends up playing out, because I've seen Renekton's 1v3 with Spear of Sojourn.
That's
it's all
fair.
about if you can find access to the fight. I think it's one of the reasons it's been such a banned pick. And even now, SKT still opting to play through top. So they have a few plates broken, and instead of trying to use the Herald mid for Faker and potentially more mid roaming, they're going straight for Khan, and maybe even looking to make a play afterwards onto Wonder.
Conqueror proc, Clid waiting in the darkness, does have the cask back up.
We might see 2 fights.
Dive. Effort, though, going to go in on the bottom side. That's Big Faker diving into the back side. Won't find anything as the quick retreat now comes out. And Wonder doing what he can to hold onto the tower, but will not walk in. And that means tower first blood will go down in the favor of SKT.
Yeah, really interesting interaction there, how SKT actually tried to force a 3-man fight on the bottom side when they had their jungler and top laner top. But it's all about reacting now as SKT stay mid.
Coming in, Wonder has the ultimate. He might just dive in. Have to be careful, though. Faker has his ultimate, a perfect disengage tool. And that's going to be the real Faker diving in. Teddy, though, they're going to demount Wonder, and that's going to mean that he cannot ult in the coming fight. Faker just pressuring more with damage, knowing it stops the engage options for G2 until Wonder remounts.
And SKT are playing the map much better right now, because remember that they made the trade where they got the Herald. They were the one that could create a tempo advantage up towards the top side of the map, which meant that there was no answer from G2. And because of the engage from SKT, that forced G2 out of mid lane, and they were too low to be able to commit to bot tower, which means that there was no answer from G2. SKT only gained advantages by securing the top tower. They got a plate in mid lane, and they can now look to set up for the Infernal Drake that's spawning in 2 minutes' time.
The only thing that G2 would have gained off of that is vision in SKT's red side jungle and plate spot for perks.
Yes.
So when we thought about this draft to begin with, it was SKT who put a higher priority on getting Renekton, and G2 who used their first 2 picks on the Xayah and Ryze. So we did at least expect these teams to play through Renekton for top lane on SKT and play through bottom lane on G2. And that's, for the most part, where we've seen these efforts. So now as they kind of clash at the Drake pit, we'll see who hits the stronger power spike. Is it the Xayah right now with the Essence Reaver, or is it SKT with the control?
Now, SKT have cleared out all of that vision that you were just talking about, Jat. They're the ones with control over the bot side river, but they're the ones with priority over mid lane. What's fascinating is G2 is not committing to that vision just yet. They do not want to walk into the darkness. They're actually committing to a top lane play.
Looks like they just set their sights there instead. Apparently not worried about the Infernal quite yet. 1 minute and 16 seconds, maybe knowing that they're weaker, willing to give that one up, is 4 members of the SKT lineup collapse on the bottom side tier 1. Wonder can do nothing here. He just has to give this one up.
Yeah, this was quite a surprising play from G2 because the wave was already being pushed by Khan in the top lane. The fact that G2 don't answer suggests to me that they were worried about a potential dive on bot side and they did not think that they could defend it, or they saw an opportunity top that just did not pay out. Either way, this is another advantage gained for SKT, and now they're sitting with a 2k gold lead.
And Perks doesn't even have teleport, so the fact that he's pushing up the top turret here is telling me that G2 is probably willing to concede the Infernal Drake for more gold onto Perks, which isn't typically the plays we see out of G2, but it looks like what they're going for now.
I think it could be because of the Renekton. Level 11, Tiamat completed, now has the Phage as well. Khan is very strong at this point in the game, and he got all of that gold from the turret plates. So maybe G2 is thinking, right, if we take a fight right now, it could be very bad for us. Yes, it's the first Infernal, but we get stronger later on into the game. 2, 3 items. That's when we'll be in a better position. So let's not overforce anything for now.
They really want to dive. They really want to dive Khan, who's played this very patiently, but he doesn't know there's 4 people here looking to kill him.
Faker has TP, he can't make his way in. Caps is going to get the point click. CC, the instant lock of the follow through. The dominance is not enough, and G2 will find the pick and set their sights on the tier 2.
Great play by G2, but where does it go from here? We got Click trying to finish the Infernal Drake, and SKT isn't in position to make any other play. So as far as conceding Infernal Drakes, that's about as good as you can do.
Now, where do they go next? Wonder in the mid lane. Looks like he's caught out for now. The Solar Threat comes in, but he manages to get the dash away. Rise coming into the mid lane. SKT are going to have to fight a fight at a man disadvantage. Faker's ult could be everything, but it looks like G2 will just pull back. Giving them that wide berth, though, giving them that respect, and it will be the Infernal for the tier 2 in the end.
Now, there was a lot of farm bot lane that just made its way into the turret that no one on the side of G2 picked up. But this was the first successful proactive play that we did see from G2. They attacked the strong side of the map with Khan. Admittedly, the rest of his team wasn't playing around him, but he considers himself pretty safe. You can see this vision on the minimap. In the river, he's thinking, I should be okay. He is not expecting a 4-man dive here, and to be fair, there's little he could have done outside of runaway.
It's an amazing cross-map play from G2. They had been out-pressured in the bottom river. They had been down in early turrets. They didn't have the power spike to take an Infernal Drake, yet now we look at the gold, and it's dead even for them. So full credit there to G2 for keeping this game dead even.
Yeah, and you have to say, if they had tried to force a team fight against Faker at this point in the game, when you have so many AoE ultimates, it could have gone against them. So to find a play that would work out, that would help them even the gold, is very well done. But while it is even, SKT still have double stopwatches, still have huge amounts of magic damage on their side. And if a single member of G2 gets caught out, if Perks gets caught out as the ulti is now forced, could mean the next fight in favor of SKT easy.
What I think is interesting to think about as well is scaling, because for G2, I think they actually have a very strong mid-game spike, but by Teddy going for the early Storm Razors, I feel that SKT could say the same for their composition as well.
SKT
just bullying down. G2 do not feel comfortable to match. Both their solo laners fanned out across the map to pick up CS.
And we see there from G2 the willingness to concede a mid-turret, and I think in that situation it was the right call. Normally games around 18 minutes that are this low in kills and this even in gold get broken open by some big explosive team fight where neither team is willing to concede something and they clash. But what I noticed about watching G2, especially in their series against Damwon, is that fight rarely happened. G2 was very good about only trying to take fights on their terms, and they weren't necessarily team fights, they were picks. And you can see that's what they're doing now. They, instead of fighting at Infernal, which could have been close, maybe 60-40, a team like IG would have absolutely just fought at Infernal Drake and just see what happens. But G2 found the 4-on-1 and made it work. And there, they weren't willing to concede their mid turret because it would have been too high risk. But because they traded mid turret, they end up getting bot turret. Where will we see that fight is my question.
It's all about pressure. And what I love about these two teams and why I think they are both so good is they're just very smart. When you play League of Legends, depending on how many people you have on the map, depending on how much pressure you have, depending on your composition, can often dictate areas of the map that do and don't belong to you. You'll hear analysts and casters refer to them as strong side, weak side. A great example was just there. Khan, in a 1v1, he's like, why do I have to be afraid of Wonder? But he recognizes that his team is nowhere near. So he has to respect that he's playing on the weak side and has to disengage. So he has to concede the tower. And both of these teams are very aware of where they have pressure when they're playing towards strong and weak side. And right now, Caps is too far side on the weak side of the map that he's not supposed to be in.
Caps maybe not aware enough, but he might just pour it out. But SKT could be waiting. They will back off, happy to just force the Realm Warp out. And we'll take the blue buff as well. So small advantage over to the side of SKT as they try to cede a little bit control on the bottom side of the map.
It's a very tense game. We're just about to hit 20 minutes in. Nothing explosive has happened. There's been no major breakpoints for either side. We can see items are starting to come through. You're getting to that 2-item spike for many of these teams. And oftentimes, as Jack was saying, especially when you look at a team like IG, you would expect a fight to happen. But it's difficult to predict with these teams because they both want it on their terms, and someone has to break.
And we know when these teams played at MSI, the team that had the gold lead at 15 minutes was the team that won the game.
Yes.
So we're saying the early game, focus on that. in this one. Technically, SKT had a goal lead of 15 minutes, but it was fleeting. By 16.5 minutes, the goal lead was the same again. So I'm not willing to say that early game decided this one. What's going to decide it here, 20 minutes in, is who vision controls properly and who eventually finds the right picks that they can then turn into an objective.
And it's kind of exactly what you'd expect from a game one. Both opponents sizing each other up, looking for opportunities, looking for weaknesses to exploit.
It's the data game, you know? You're just trying to gain
game
data.
One is just data.
So you can download them for the rest of the series.
Is this Cloud Drake the objective that neither team is willing to give up?
Caught out. Faker going to find the snare. Perkz has to be ready to burn the ult. The chain CC is there, but will just be forced to ult early. That's the defensive tool gone from the side of Perkz. G2, are they willing to take this fight? Faker still has the Pop Blossom up and available.
So the biggest thing is that SKT actually have prio over mid. G2, I think the smartest thing for them is to actually disengage, not gamble the fight, but Mickey is looking for a flank.
Teddy could go in at a moment's notice.
Perkz is not there. He's pushing bot turret.
Need to make their way out, but that ulti over the wall effort now coming in with the Zenith Blade. Mickey going to be in trouble, tries to charm up, uses Jankos as an escape path. And Perkz now caught out. Why is he there? Just trying to push, just trying to get priority, maybe hoping to get a solo kill, but Teddy just zooms in and down goes Perkz.
Trying to create pressure off of burning his ult early, and the rest of G2 were unable to stop SKT from pulling through. But ultimately, that is just one kill, and the play is going to continue. SKT is not in the position to take Cloud Drake. The bottom wave is in G2's side. Wunder got mid priority, so this play isn't done just because Perkz died.
And Caps now goes in onto Faker, knows that he's been locked up. Good bit of damage there as Faker's now chasing. A lot of confidence comes in. Khan could just leap in. No Spear of Shojin yet, but still an absolute terror in the 1v1.
So where's Perkz? He's now at 6 seconds. Thank you, Jack.
Teddy shredding through this one.
Going to be respawning soon, but as you rightly said, the play will continue. SKT will turn it into a Cloud Drake. A bit of an engage onto Mickey, but he's just going to dash out of that one. And
watch Khan.
Oh, phase rush. Very fast, but not fast enough. Khan will be able to make it out, and Caps is getting scarier and scarier. We talked about the scaling threat on the side of G2. That is 2 items completed for the Rise. Of course, the Nico will have a lot of utility, a lot of potential AoE, but the Rise just has raw damage, and Caps is looking to put it down as Khan goes 6 feet under.
And finally for G2, they find a pick. This will definitely open up the map a little bit more for them, because notice, Wunder is in the top lane. G2 are pressuring in mid, but they're actually going to use this as an opportunity to reset. They just want to push out the waves, go back to base, spend some of their gold, and more importantly, pick up those control wards so they can start getting a little bit more vision on the map.
And this game one is just so perfect based on our expectations in the series. I mean, they're 100 gold apart, 23 minutes into the game, and a player that I had my eyes on coming to this series was Khan, because in a lot of ways, he was having his best international tournament yet.
Completely agree.
Throughout group stage and throughout the quarterfinals. But if we look back to Khan's history with Longju, with the 2017 World Championship falling apart in the quarterfinals, some of his MSI performances at 2018 and in 2019, it hasn't been there. And I think for SKT to win a World Championship, Khan has to be playing well. He can't have a down performance in a critical series. And so far, the Renekton priority, banning out Quinn, banning out Ornn, taking away 2 of the things that are supposed to stop Renekton to still find himself down 0-2-0, he's got to find a way to do better, and G2's done a great job to attack him.
But the same is true for the opposite side. Perkz and Mickey have not been able to find any advantage. Constantly, that ultimate from Perkz forced out so early in fights, making him so much less of a threat. But Wunder and Caps are picking up the slack. They are barreling into the bottom side of the map. They may give up mid-prio, but they will get another Tier 2 tower.
Now look at this very interesting map setup from G2. They actually have their AD carry sitting in the top lane, catching and farming waves, while their 2 solo laners group in a single lane, because G2 is saying, you cannot hold off both of us. We are some of the power points at this point in the game. So Perkz can just sit in a side lane, funnel that farm, get more experience, get more gold. We're going to use Jankos and Mickey to catch the mid wave. Sure, we can't gain priority, but it's fine. And it's these creative lane assignments that G2 often use to create chaos in the mid game.
The FX flash over the wall there comes in for effort. SKT, of course, now matching the Cloud Drake for G2, but the setup around the Baron has to be the next big thing. Khan, interestingly opting, it looks like, to go to the Titanic or potentially something else, as now Wunder is engaged on Unstoppable, but it might not be enough. Wunder on the retreat will be forced to flash away from the tangle on the side of Faker.
That was definitely a little odd that Wunder would just kind of walk up to there. My initial instinct was, oh, surely he must be baiting. But then he ends up using ult and flash afterwards, and SKT is looking pretty heavily to at least force a TP, because Caps is bottom lane, and SKT need that to break somehow. He's actually realm warping in. He's going to force SKT into doing something.
X-Flash over the wall. Have to see if the engage is happening, because Caps in the meantime is going to be breaking down the base.
Wow, SKT is just disengaging.
Yeah, they're not willing to go all in for this fight. This is a great play by Caps.
Now G2 need to try and keep the G2 members, the SKT members rather, around so that Caps can freely split push.
This is a very strong Caps. If he takes the bait here, though, and goes in thinking it's Klid, Faker, though, just going to clear the wave. Knows that he can't go toe-to-toe with a level 15 Ryze. 3 items in. The Rylai's going to make him nigh impossible to escape from.
And SKT is falling behind G2 because they haven't been able to keep up with the Ryze. They're done with this play, though. They've matched bot TP, and they're starting Baron. They're trying to get that TP.
And goes up the wall. He has the tremor sense. He knows this is happening. Preyseeker will spot them out. Perks is there. Faker could now be in trouble. Wonder and Caps, though, setting their sights on the bottom side. They're willing to give up the Baron. If Jankos steals this, it could actually just end the game. It'll stop the recalls. Jankos, can you do it? In the meantime, it's just going to be one. Will go down in favor of SKT. The empowered recalls come out. It is the bot lane inhibitor traded for the Baron. And we still have yet to see the game-defining fight. Jankos and Mickey, though, looking to stop these backs, looking to stop these recall. Caps, Wonder, both with TP up and available. But it looks like both sides will back away from the exchange.
Another just straight-up trade. That was inhibitor for Baron. SKT handshaked on that one, yet I'm actually a little surprised Jankos didn't try some type of miracle steal, because that's the type of steal where if you make it, you probably just win the game. Regardless, though, that's still not a clear edge for either team with an inhibitor down on one side and the Baron buff in SKT.
So what I ultimately think it is it's risk versus reward.
Yeah.
Jankos looks at that situation and says, if I attempt a steal and I fail, now my team has to spend 35 to 40 seconds without me. And SKT have a Baron buff. What can they gain with having that numbers advantage? I don't want to run the gamble. We'll trade it for an inhibitor, we'll still have pressure on the map, and we'll keep 5 people alive. And again, you'll notice G2 sending their 2 solo laners up towards the top side to create this constant point of pressure that SKT cannot answer.
And no single member of SKT can walk alone into a lane. The threat of the long-range engage coming in from the Kled, of a Realm Warp from Ryze, the sheer damage output of those 2 champions is massive. But in the meantime, SKT are racking up buffs. They've got a Cloud Drake. They get another Baron, and the question becomes, what can they do with it?
And what I find fascinating is how often SKT have just been trying to use their numbers to create pressure. Often you see them grouped as 4 because it's evident that, hey, we would like to fight you. Not only are they a great team-fighting team, but they have a comp that is suited for it as well. Their ability to dive, their ability to split G2 up can create a lot of chaos and difficulty for G2 to execute. And every single time we've seen G2 say, no, we're going to go somewhere else, we're going to avoid you. And the problem is SKT is getting split up. Even with a Baron, they have to send someone top to answer. Look at where the Ryze is right now. He is halfway down that top lane, and SKT is like, well, we're going to have to try and siege man.
Knock up there. Klid now going to be in trouble. Wonder knocked into the middle of the team, but we'll have the remount to at least make him untargetable for a moment. Pocket Pistol takes him out to safety, but still, Effort will find the kill.
And they now have a Baron buff with a pick. That's a heal then onto Perks, but what more can they get? Because Caps, he's not going to stop splitting. You need to send at least 2 people to stop him, and that's what they've done, which means maybe G2 try 3v3. This is nuts.
Khan's going in, he's proc the dominance, he's hoping to chase on Caps, but he does not have the Spear of Shojin. He might not even need it. The Conqueror is there, he's now running for his life. The Seraph's Klid now coming in. Caps going down. He will not get the tower, he will not get the inhibitor, but G2 will push SKT away from the mid lane.
And we finally get to see an excellent punish from SKT. Wonder gets over-aggressive, Klid shuts him down alongside the chase from the SKT members. Khan comes in for a flank in the top lane, waiting on that control ward that is just sitting on next to the blue buff on the bot side. Beautiful stuff from SKT to at least relieve the split push pressure and secure themselves the mid tier 2.
Only 30 seconds left on the Baron. The inhibitor timer 2 minutes away. Dragon 3, a lot of big objectives coming soon. One big fight could decide the game, as we've been saying the entire game, but neither team looking to take the big fight. It is about the small exchanges, the small trades. In terms of gold, SKT for now are coming ahead.
Except in terms of buildings, there's 2 exposed inhibitors for SKT. So we're in that really delicate state of the game where if G2 find 1 pick, they can end the game. If they actually just catch a bunch of SKT in a spot and can disrupt recalls, they could theoretically get a Ryze and a Kled to end the game, because he can also Realm Warp minions to the Nexus turrets after they have an inhibitor down. So even though Ryze is capable of team fighting, since we've seen Caps farm up to about 13,000 gold now with 333 CS before 30 minutes, just an absurd amount of farm from all the sidelines he's been playing. They don't have to right? They have the option to, but with the open inhibitors and how this game has gone, I expect G2 to keep trying to split SKT up.
I also think that SKT's comp is just very strong in a 5v5, like with Faker's ultimate, with the front line that will be Khan, with the Clid ultimate as well, and you then have to take into account that Teddy, as far as team fighting goes, is probably one of the best team fighting, if not the best team fighting AD carry on the planet. So I think that...
Oh, that's a fast Faker. Nikos now has to back off. Glacial Augment will not be enough to catch him, but half respect. As you mentioned, the Tangle Barb's a 3-second route if Faker can connect on the empowered version. A lot of CC, a lot of easy follow-up for SKT if they can get a fight kicked off in their favor.
So now SKT have the rise on the Baron. They do have the gold lead. The top laner has a clear item advantage. They're primed and poised to fight. I imagine that Teddy is very close to completing his next upgrade. He's sitting on the stopwatch, which means it could be a GA, but it could also be a Mercurial Scimitar, depending on what direction he wants to go for. But the point is that with it spawning in about a minute's time, with the control that they already have initially, this will be the next big objective that they want to force G2 into. And of course, G2's going to say, okay, let's see if we can backdoor instead.
Yeah, where is Caps going to be and how well can SKT close down on him? Because if SKT send 2 people for Caps again, G2 need to have some type of answer. Whether it's Wonder coming in, whether it's actually having more people there, or if it's G2 forcing a fight on the 3 remaining members of SKT that haven't gone for Caps, because even though they've been able to open up these inhibitors, the gold lead and the potential double Infernal, this game's going to be breaking soon.
Teddy now moving on to the bottom side. Realmorph coming out, but Teddy doesn't have any CC, and that means Caps will be able to make no safety. But now coming. 4 members. Caps has to be careful. Banshee's Veil is up. He's going to flash over the wall. Right there. Beautiful play. He's going to go over. Teddy's going to fish for the 1v1, but Caps is going to try to take him down. Cut down the Kaiser's health bar, but the CC, the follow-up, and SKT will kill Caps.
And he's like a raid boss. It took everyone using their cooldowns to go and get him, but what does that open up? Baron's up in 5 seconds. Multiple ultimates were burned by SKT. G2 has the presence there, but what can they do?
Faker going to be able to spot out Jankos as well. They know that they're not on the Baron. SKT can play this one much slower. Try to leverage their man advantage. Wonder now running for the hills. Only level 15 at this point. TP coming in. Khan on the flank. But meanwhile, they've got the pick. Faker is gone, and this could be the fight that they're waiting for. Khan go over the wall. Effort is going to flash away to safety. G2 waiting in the darkness. Wonder ready to go in, but the ult has been burned. He's going to have a much harder time. It is all eyes on Teddy, the last remaining damage source. Khan has been building tank. If they're going to win a fight, it's going to be the back of this Kaisa.
And G2 just have to wait 20 seconds so Caps can join. Then they are the ones that have the 5v4. By catching Faker, they turn it around, and now G2 has the edge.
I think G2 should just go straight back to the Baron right now. They know that they're going to have the numbers advantage very soon. They can force this play, but they're not going to take the gamble. The Infernal is what they want.
Picking away at it as SKT now want to secure mid lane priority. They've got 20 seconds left on Faker. They know Caps and G2 have the man advantage, but they can get pressure. They can get vision down. They can get ready for the fight. And the question is, do they back off? Do they reset? Or is this the moment where they choose their arena? It's this Baron pit where they will fight the game-deciding fight.
Oh,
SKT's going straight on it. Faker can teleport in. They're daring G2 to come team fight them.
Here it comes.
That's 1 TP. Can they get Caps as well? They still see him. Here it comes.
Caps come. 7K.
Hex flash.
Hex flash over the wall. Effort now going to come in. Faker's going to be on the backside. This pop blossom will be massive if they can find it. That's a CZ. That's a follow-up. Teddy into the backside. Faker now coming in. He's going to slow a lot of members, but Mickey's still alive. Caps is still alive. Pop blossom will only collect on 1, and Wonder is still living. G2 are coming out on top of the fight for now, but a beautiful body slam will not be enough. They're in the pinch. That is not where you want to be against Desire, and SKT have got nothing left in this game 1.
It took 34 minutes, but there was finally something that forced them to fight, and G2 win it.
The Titans finally clash, and it is G2 that comes out ahead in round 1. G2 with the team fight win, G2 with the ace, G2 looking for the Nexus.
And it's over. They're killing the inhibitor, they're realm warping these minions close, they're tanking at the Nexus turret to not let this Nexus kill them, and I think they're going to end the game.
And after that, back and forth, blow for blow, but the knockout goes in favor of G2. The minions moving in. The backdoor bonuses are gone, and G2 will push into the base. Neck and neck for the entire game. Effort wants to turn this one back, but it will not be enough. Caps and Perks, eyes on the prize. They'll grab one more kill just for a little bit extra flavor as they find an advantage in the series.
What an intense game 1. Both teams playing at their highest level. We saw some fantastic punishes from SKT, and the moment they found that pick onto Caps, I thought that they found out the recipe. Yeah. They got it. They were like, oh, all we have to do is catch Caps off guard. He's overextending too much in a side lane. And with the numbers advantage, I thought they could force the Baron. But then